Hi there and welcome to another weekly update. I'm back at home in the UK, back from Comms v Next, got back yesterday. Seemed to have beaten the jet lag because I had a really good sleep last night, so fingers crossed on that for how the rest of the day goes. But I'm definitely tired because there was so much good stuff. It was a really good conference. A lot of conferences you have all the sessions and the different tracks, and kind of time by time it's there's normally one really good session in each track that you can kind of go to and it's pretty obvious where the really good ones are. This time, Comms v Next, literally every session, every time slot, there were so many hard choices to make between really good sessions. Do I go and hear this MVP who's an expert in their area and I know what they're going to be saying is really good, or do I go and see this person from Microsoft who's going to be talking about the new features they're working on, or do I go and see this partner company who has just come out with some new kind of features and new devices? There's just there's so much stuff going on. So huge thank you to everyone involved in Comms v Next. The organisers, it was a great event. Really well done, guys. It was excellent. To the sponsors, thank you for making it happen. It is appreciated, it is noticed. To all the speakers as well, thanks for showing up, thanks for the great content, it was really good. And all the attendees, thanks for coming, thanks for making it an awesome event. Thanks for all your comments, thanks for all the questions, do your evals. It was a really good event. I took lots away from it. I had a really good time doing my speaking sessions, but I also took a lot away from all the different sessions I attended as well whilst I was there. Great to catch up with some people as well, kind of have some meetings. It was really good, and a really good kind of validation, if you like, a yardstick of where our community's at, and this whole community of teams and teams development and moving forward intelligent communication and what's happening in the communication space. So all good stuff, but we're back now, back to the day jobs, and there's still kind of plenty going on, plenty happening. I am super behind on all the stuff I want to blog about, so that's the thing I need to try and sort out in the next couple of weeks. But meantime, Microsoft are pushing forward as well with new features into Teams. One of those kind of came out in the last week, and it's priority notifications. Now, we've heard a little bit about this, we've seen it talked about, but this is the first time it's now come into the roadmap. So it's in the 365 roadmap now, priority notification. And there's some interesting wording in the description here. It's around alerting recipients of urgent messages. That makes sense. We've got some information about how it's going to work. So it will notify mobile and desktop devices until a response is received every 2 minutes for up to 20 minutes. So we've got some information there. There's no notes on that to say whether or not that's a configurable value or not. The fact that it's being called out so specifically, I would probably guess certainly in the initially it's not going to be configurable, but that's just my guess. And then interestingly, it says for a limited time, unlimited priority notifications will be made available for all customers. This promotion will run from July 2019 until December 31st, 2019. And during this time, all team users will be able to send unlimited priority notifications. Which kind of begs the question, what happens after December 31st? So, starting on January the 1st, 2020, licensed users will be able to send priority notifications according to the terms of their subscription. So that's kind of interesting to me. That makes it sound like this feature is going to be limited to a certain number of SKUs, so a certain number of licensed subscriptions. So no further information on that, but we'll have to keep an eye out. It is definitely true that this is kind of aimed at specific verticals, healthcare, education. It might not be right for everybody, but it's interesting to see features being limited by specific SKUs. Of course, I could be completely reading this wrong, and it may just be that it's something that's not going to be available in the free tier of Teams perhaps, and it is going to be in all the other SKUs. So we're just going to have to wait for the licensing information to come out on that. What's interesting is a final sentence on that as well, that IT admins will have specific reporting on who is using priority notification in order that they can make sure that they have the appropriate licenses when January 2020 rolls around. So yeah, that's all kind of interesting. It's yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the feature's like, how it works, and how it's used. I can see, there will be use cases for it in every industry, in every vertical. I could also see it being kind of annoying. So it's going to have to come down to a bit of user training. Not every message should be a priority notification, because otherwise you kind of get fatigue on that stuff. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. All right, the other thing I wanted to point out as well is a blog post from the Microsoft Graph developer blog, and some interesting news. So there's the Microsoft Graph, which you know about, which I've talked about. That big API covers all of the Office 365 workloads. There's also something called the Azure AD Graph, which predates it. So the Azure AD Graph is a separate thing, and it kind of got taken over by Microsoft Graph. This blog post is gently reminding you that Microsoft Graph is the replacement for the Azure AD Graph, and if you haven't migrated over from Azure AD Graph to Microsoft Graph, you might want to think about starting to do that kind of soon. There's no specific dates here, but this is a blog post reminding you that it might be a good idea to cut over. There's also links to some helpful kind of onboarding and migration guidance. So it's kind of a checklist of things you should check, a catalogue of differences between Azure AD Graph and Microsoft Graph, which is useful if you need to review that as a developer to figure out if your code needs to change. There's also information about how you can audit your app and how you can review other details, things like app registration, how you get your tokens. There's also suggestions on deployment and testing. So there's a ton of useful information and guidance and tools that you can use for making your migration over from Azure AD to Graph, Azure AD Graph to Microsoft Graph. But you should think about making that move, because there's other things as well that are coming to Graph or are new in Graph that you won't have in Azure AD Graph. So things like webhooks, group management, a ton of new capabilities, a load of security features, and then there's a load more samples and libraries as well, client libraries and samples on lots and lots of different languages and platforms. So no kill dates for Azure AD Graph in this blog post, but I would take this reminder as the first warning. So take this as a kind of, yeah, we do need to think about migrating over before they kind of come out with some kill dates. So this is the first, for me, this would be a first salvo of like, I better just check, am I using the Azure AD Graph anywhere? I should move that over to Microsoft Graph, because now might be a good time to start thinking about that stuff. All right, everything I want to talk about this week. Kind of going into next week, it's going to be busy, but I am going to try and get out some blog posts if I can, because there's some stuff I'm sitting on that is super interesting that I want to share with you. So I just need to find the time to do it. It's always annoying to me, especially at things like the conferences, like Comms Next. I always want to do more videos when I'm there, and I want to talk to people more, and I just run out of time. I just completely underestimate the amount of free time I'm going to have. And certainly the last couple of days, it's been back-to-back, sessions, talking to people, meetings, and just didn't find the time to do the videos I wanted. So, a source of frustration for me. I'm going to try and work on that. Maybe I need to be more diligent. Maybe I need to kind of set aside actual time whilst I'm there. Block out in the calendar. Maybe don't go to some sessions and concentrate instead on kind of talking to people. But then those people want to be in the sessions as well, so it's kind of hard. So we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, something for me to work on, I think, for the next event. All right, have a great weekend, and whatever it is you're doing. And if you're back from Comms Next, because you've been there, then it was great to see you. Have a relaxing couple of days now before Monday, and I will speak to you again next time.